The biggest team in world football? Completely ghosted. Left in the dust by a squad that, not too long ago, was labeled bottlers.
Todos unidos, hemos intentado de hacer jugadas individuales, esto nos ha penalizado, hemos perdido un poco de orden en el campo, ellos han controlado mejor el balón y el resultado sobre todo.
Mikel Arteta has been quietly crafting a 3-game master plan to take down this giant. What were these 3 strategic moves that Arteta used to outsmart and beat Real Madrid? And is there still a chance for Real Madrid to come back?
We're going to have to address it. We're going to need something special to...
Well, let's talk about it. Being an Arsenal fan over the past few years has felt like being on the world's most unpredictable roller coaster. One minute, you're flying high at the top of the table, dreaming of Premier League titles, and the next, boom, crash landing in April with Man City snatching your hopes right out of your hands like a thief in the night. And look, I'm not saying Arsenal haven't improved, because they 100% have. Over the last 3 seasons, this team has gone from being a banter club to a genuine title contender. They've got the youngest squad in the league, a manager who looks like he's auditioning to be Pep's cooler younger brother, and a fan base riding hard for the process. But man, they've had their fair share of heartbreak. 3 Premier League title races, all 3 gone. Snatched by Man City like it was a routine grocery run. I mean, Arsenal would be flying from August to March, and then poof, April hits and the title dream vanishes into thin air. And then there's the Champions League. Bro, Arsenal fans have waited 6 years to get back into that competition. And when they finally did, everyone thought, alright, it's time to show Europe what this new Arsenal is all about. But nah, it didn't go like that. They came in with all this hype, all this energy, and then every single time they got close to making a statement, they got knocked out. Always eliminated. Always one step too slow, one moment too short, one goal too late. At one point, every fan started to wonder, is Arteta the guy? Like, we love his vibes, the young talent, the slick football, but where's the silverware? Where's the knockout magic? And for some, the trust the process motto started feeling like just another buzzword, just PR. But that's the thing. While people were losing faith, Arteta was plotting. The man was cooking something behind the scenes, not just for the Premier League, not just for redemption. Nah, he was preparing a tactical masterpiece. He wasn't just trying to win games, he was trying to set a trap. A trap so subtle, so well-timed, that not even the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid, would see it coming. Yeah, the club that every team dreams of beating under the lights. That's who walked straight into Arteta's plan. But here's the twist. Was this the unbeatable Real Madrid we all feared? Because behind the shiny names and the glowing legacy, something about this Madrid team wasn't quite right. And Arteta? Oh, he saw every little flaw. Real Madrid always had the fear factor. You hear the name and your brain just fills in the blanks. European royalty, Champions League DNA, 90th minute magic. That aura, that fear factor. The white kits, the Bernabeu, the drama, the trophies, you know the drill. But here's the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Are they that team anymore? I mean, yeah, the history is crazy, you can't deny it. The comebacks against PSG, City, the miracle runs, the nights when Karim Benzema decided to turn into a cheat code. But lately, it's not been the same. Not bad, don't get me wrong, just not as scary as they used to be. See, Carlo Ancelotti is a legend, there's no questions. He's calm, classy, and knows how to win. But bro, this man's game plan feels like, go out there, vibe, and let's see what happens. It's almost like a no-tactics system. There's no rigid formations, no overcoached patterns. He just lets the players roam, full freedom, total fluidity. 1 second, Jude Bellingham is the striker. Next, he's in midfield. Mbappe and Vinicius? They're just floating wherever they feel like. It's like jazz football, improvisation over structure. And honestly, for a while it worked. They looked electric. Mbappe had that I'm him energy again. Jude was out here scoring bangers, and it looked like Carlo Ancelotti unlocked something. But then the cracks started showing. Like, really showing. Against teams like Real Betis, struggled. Atletico Madrid, couldn't beat them over two legs. They only won one with just one goal. Villarreal, Rayo Vallecano, Leganés, all teams have found a way to score against them, and not just fluke goals. Madrid was leaking. I mean, Leganés scored 2 against them at the Bernabeu. Even Villarreal had them on the ropes but just couldn't finish. Even Rayo Vallecano found ways to cause chaos. Then there was Valencia. Valencia didn't just beat Madrid 2-1, they exposed them. The defense was wide open. Counters unstoppable. Madrid looked weirdly lost. Like if you pressed them high and caught them in transition, you could get something. And it didn't even take a superstar talent, it just took discipline and a plan. And you know who was watching all of this like a hawk? Mikel Arteta. He was studying, analyzing. You could tell he was like, they play vibes football, let me bring structure. They leave gaps, I'll exploit it. They get shaky under pressure, I'll trap them. And that's exactly what he did. You see, Madrid's problem was simple. They thought they could just freestyle their way through another Champions League run. That Bellingham and Mbappe could dance through any defense, that they'd pull another miracle out of nowhere. But this time, they ran into a team that didn't care about the aura. They ran into a manager who came with 3 secret weapons: set pieces, defense, and the ultimate tactical trap. And I've got to say, Arteta didn't just come to play, he came to teach. But before I talk about his weapons, if you're enjoying this video, then please click the subscribe button. Thank you. And now. You see, Arteta's secret weapons have been in play for a long time. It just never occurred to the fans. This was years in the making, and his first secret weapon took seasons to build. You remember how shaky Arsenal's backline used to be, right? Like, there was a time when if you just sneezed near their penalty box, they'd concede. It was chaos. One long ball, one mistake, boom, goal. And for a club with their history, that just wasn't it. But Arteta, he saw that, and he was like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. First move? He brings back William Saliba from his loan spell in France. Bro, this guy was moving differently. He was calm under pressure, reads the game like a veteran, and has that Van Dijk aura. It's like he's allergic to panic. Then he partners in with Gabriel Magalhães, a strong, aggressive aerial beast. Together, they're like yin and yang. One's ice cold, the other's pure fire, and they click, like instantly. It wasn't just a good pairing, it was elite. Over the last 3 seasons, these two have turned the Emirates into a fortress. During those years, when Arsenal was chasing City, they had one of the best defensive records in the league. At one point, teams couldn't find the back of the net against them. And Arteta didn't stop there. He looked at his fullbacks and thought, I need guys who can attack, defend, and if needed, slot in as centre-backs. And that's when he brought in Calafiori and Jurriën Timber. Calafiori has been that guy when he's fit. He's a menace on the left, strong, smart, and fearless going forward. But defensively, rock solid. And Timber? Listen, if this guy didn't get injured earlier, people would be talking about him way more. He's versatile, two-footed, press-resistant, and can play anywhere along the backline. Like, give him gloves and he might even be a decent keeper. But the revelation for that backline has been Lewis Skelly. I'm even shocked at how good he plays. Most would think of him as a veteran in the game, but he's just a young guy with a big aura. So going into the Madrid game, Arteta knew exactly what he was doing. He looked at Madrid's threat, Vinny Jr. and Mbappe on the wings, Bellingham floating around, and went, let's choke the life out of their side. And that's exactly what Arsenal did. Vinicius, nowhere to be found. Mbappe had to drop way deeper just to get a touch, and when he did, he couldn't make proper use of it. Jude? Frustrated, isolated, quiet. And the result? Madrid ended up with just 0.55 expected goals. 0.55 XG for Real Madrid with that front line. Meanwhile, Arsenal had 1.69 XG, more than 3 times Madrid's. If someone told you that before the match, you'd have laughed them out of the room. But that's how airtight Arteta's defense was. They didn't just defend, he made Madrid look average. And it wasn't some deep block or all men behind the ball kind of setup. Nah, this was controlled. They pressed when they had to and sat back when it made sense. But more importantly, they denied Madrid all the dangerous areas. It was like Real were being forced to eat scraps the whole game. And here's the beauty of it. This wasn't a one-off. Arsenal's defence has been cooking long before this. That solid core, it's been Arteta's foundation from day one. Every team starts with a backline you can trust, and finally, Arsenal has one. You know how Alex Ferguson always says, attacks wins you games, defence wins you titles? Yeah, well, Arteta took notes. And now, he's using that foundation to go after the one trophy that's been missing from Arsenal's cabinet, the Champions League. But before we get there, let's talk about the second secret weapon. Arteta's first season in charge, Arsenal was never a threat from set pieces. Corners were like a reset button, not a scoring opportunity. Free kicks? You just hope it didn't end up bouncing out for a throw-in. There was nothing dangerous about it. Zero bites. But now it's a whole different story. Arsenal are a nightmare from set pieces. And trust me, this wasn't luck or vibes. This was Arteta's master plan, coming to life brick by brick. It started slowly. A couple of routines here, a few tweaks there. Next thing you know, Arsenal is scoring more set-piece goals than almost anyone in Europe. And of course the internet noticed, because Twitter's never quiet. That's when the corner merchant's nickname kicked in. At first it was banter. You know, classic football fans doing what they do. But then Arsenal said, cool, we'll own that. And suddenly they were winning games with corners, consistently. Take that game against Man United. Arsenal won 2-0, and guess what? Both goals came from corners. Like clockwork, drilled in routines. One moment it's a corner, the next it's the ball in the back of the net, and United defenders are looking at each other. Who was marking him? And that's what's so deadly about this team now. They don't just rely on one way to score. You close down the wings? Absolutely fine. You block the midfield? Cool. They'll whip in a set piece and end the game before you can blink. Arteta made it a mission to add unpredictability to Arsenal's game. They can score from open play, yes, but also penalties, set pieces, rebounds, kind of anything. It's like trying to block all the exits while the fire's already inside the house. Arteta played Real Madrid with this tactic in mind. See, Arteta knew Madrid's one weak point, and it wasn't just about defending transitions or tracking runners. It was a shaky set-piece defense. You've got big names at the back, Rudiger, Alaba, but as a unit, they're chaotic, uncoordinated. It's that vibes over structure thing Ancelotti runs with. Arteta studied the signs. He saw how Villarreal scored from a corner. Valencia, same story. Chaos at the back, slow reactions, ball watching. Ancelotti's players were freelancing, and Arteta thought, let's expose that. From the first minute of the game, every corner Arsenal had felt dangerous. Not hopeful, not routine, calculated. Timber would block defenders, Saliba and Partey would ghost into space, Marino would attack the second ball. It was like a military operation disguised as football. Set pieces gave Arsenal control. It slowed Madrid's rhythm and broke their flow. Every time Arsenal got a corner, Madrid looked uncomfortable, like they were waiting for disaster. And honestly, this is why Arteta deserves so much credit. He didn't just say, we'll win this by playing beautiful football. He said, we'll win this by being smart, by using every possible advantage, including corners. So when people call Arsenal corner merchants now, they own it, because those corners are buying 3 points and Champions League knockouts. But there was still one more card up Arteta's sleeve, the trap. A tactical setup so sneaky, it had even Ancelotti scratching his head. Arteta set it, Ancelotti walked right into it. And the best part, you could see it unfolding from the very first whistle. Now let's backtrack for a second. Madrid came into this match with a ton of star power. Mbappe, Vinicius, Jude, Rodrigo, all names that usually give defenders nightmares. But this season, Ancelotti's been trying to make all those stars fit into this basic 4-4-2 setup. And it kind of worked for a bit. But the downside? It's turned Jude Bellingham into a weirdly miscast left midfielder. Like, genuinely. His heat map looked like he was playing left wing in the 90s. It's not ideal. And when Madrid didn't have the ball, that system collapsed. Their press, if you can even call it that, relied entirely on Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. trying to close down Thomas Partey. That's it, just Partey. And the rest of Arsenal? Well, they were just vibing in space. And you know what happens when you give Arsenal space. Arteta's been drilling these lads for years to exploit that. If your press is weak or obvious, they'll carve through it like a hot knife through butter. And Madrid's press? well, it was paper thin. Like, genuinely, Arsenal were playing through Madrid's midfield like it wasn't even there. Ødegaard would drop in, Lewis Skelly would invert, and 3v2s in the middle of the park all day long. At one point, it was 6v4 in the build-up. Madrid had no answers. They were just watching Arsenal pass rings around them. You could see how easily they were pulling Madrid's shape apart. One quick switch, one inverted run, and suddenly Arsenal had 1v1s out wide and players running at the Madrid backline. This wasn't just Arsenal playing well, this was domination. But here's where it gets clever. All this dominance in midfield, it forced Madrid to make a subtle yet massive change. Ancelotti had to drop Jude Bellingham even deeper to double up on Saka, because, let's face it, Saka was cooking them. So Bellingham starts defending wider and lower, trying to shut down that side. And that's where Arteta's trap snaps shut. See, by pulling Bellingham deeper, Arsenal opened up the inside spaces, the exact zones Madrid thought they had under control. But now, there were gaps everywhere. Saka, instead of just hugging the touchline like he normally does, starts drifting inside. He knows Bellingham is trailing him. And then, bang, he gets fouled. Arsenal wins a free kick in a dangerous area, and suddenly Madrid looks shaken. Like they just remembered Arsenal can punish you for dead balls. So, what happens next? Declan Rice, a guy who hadn't scored a free kick in 342 professional games, steps up and cuts one past Courtois like he's been doing it his whole life. And then, he does it again. Back-to-back worldies, like he'd been saving up all that magic for one night. But here's what people forget. Those free kicks don't happen without the trap. Arteta knew Madrid was vulnerable in two ways: the soft press up top and the panic when defending wide players like Saka. So he used that. He played the midfield like a chessboard, baited Madrid into overcommitting in certain areas, and then boom, capitalized the moment they blinked. And if you thought that was it, wait for the cherry on top. Late in the game, Merino finally drops into the right pocket of space, gets the ball where a proper centre-forward should, and finishes it like a seasoned pro. 3-0, game, set, trap triggered, mission complete. This wasn't just a win, this was Arteta's masterpiece. He didn't just beat Real Madrid, he solved them. He exposed everything wrong with their system and made one of the most dangerous teams in Europe look flat out ordinary. People will remember the goals, the highlights, the free kicks. But what they should remember is that this was a match won by intelligence, not just talent. This was Arteta's trap. And Real Madrid, they didn't even see it coming. So yeah, Real Madrid walked into a trap, and they didn't just get caught, they got embarrassed. Arsenal didn't fluke this. They didn't survive, they controlled it. From the backline to the midfield, to set pieces, to that absolute tactical clinic Arteta put on, one of the most complete performances you'll ever see from an English club in Europe. But here's the big question we're all asking now. Can Arsenal win the Champions League? Because listen, if you can dominate Real Madrid like that, the team that's built a summer home in the Champions League final, then yeah, you've got to start dreaming a little bigger. And look, we all know it's not over yet. Madrid are Madrid. They've pulled off comebacks more ridiculous than this one. The second leg is still out there looming. The Bernabeu, under the lights, that's not a place you walk into casually. But what Arsenal did in that first leg, it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't luck. It was a team that's been built piece by piece for this moment. So now the ball's in Madrid's court. Can they turn it around? Or is this finally Arsenal's year? The year they go from nearly men to champions of Europe? We're about to find out. If you enjoyed the breakdown, then make sure to give this video a like. And don't forget to check out our last video on how Julian Alvarez is ghosting Erling Haaland. Thanks a lot.